in 2021, Myanmar military staged a coup, and after that, uh, the Myanmar has been falling into the civil war. But the ethnic armed forces in Myanmar, they have been fighting against the Myanmar military, and Myanmar has been in constant civil war for more than 70 years. It's not as intense as now, but it has been there. So, within few years, the civil war in Myanmar have changed a lot, and several ethnic armed forces have they have a more control of the territories, and I. Right now, in this episode, I want to talk about the major and important fashion, the ethnic armed forces in Myanmar, and the current situation of what is happening in Myanmar. So first, let's go and see all the colors. It's like a cookie, cranberry cookie. So but you see the red color. The red color is actually the Myanmar military. Is the area controlled by the Myanmar military. And apart from the rest are all the resistance forces and alternate armed forces. So let's go from the north, from here. Let's start from here. Okay, so this area is the green area. This is KIA control area. KIA is a Kachin Independence Army. They have been around for quite a long time. They are formed in around 1960, so they has been here very long time, and they are one of the most important ethnic armed forces in Myanmar because they have been helping a lot of PDFs and also other ethnic armed forces. They have given training, they have given weapons, they have providing ammunitions and a lot of things. They have been like strategically giving leadership for PDFs and Zagai and also in Mandalay region. So you can see that they are one of the most important ethnic armed forces in Myanmar. So currently, recently they have been conquering a lot of border gates regions around Myanmar-China border. So you can see that they have captured almost all the border gate in the north between Myanmar and China. So they are also currently they are now surrounding Burma, which is a very important city on the way from Midland, Myanmar to Mijina, the capital of the Kachin state. So it's in the middle and it's also quite important for both the Myanmar military and also the KIA. So KIA has been now it has the control of more than maybe around 60-70% of the whole Kachin state. So, Kachin has been is a very interesting. It has a very interesting history. There in the Second World War, the Allied has they have a Kachin Commando group originally called OSS Detachment 101, and they became the Kachin Ranger, and they have formed guerrilla forces within the Kachin state, Kachin regions, and in the fight against the Japanese. And then after the Second World War, the one Myanmar got to gain the independence. At that time, it was not Myanmar; it was Burma. So when Burma got independence, they became part of the national army, but later some of them and they joined the river forces. Okay. After the KIA, we will go to another K, which is KNU. Interesting thing is the KIA here, KIA here, and KNU here, and KNPP here, and CNA here. They are called this K, and C. So they are called K3C. Majority of the soldiers are Christian soldiers, so the leaders also. So they are or collectively called K3C. Yeah, and they have a really close relationship with the American or the West. But the thing is that KIA, they have an immediate relationship with the China because they have to. The China has a lot of pressure, and China also have a lot of communication within the because of what they are. They have a very long border between both of them. So, China don't like the ethnic emphasis being too close to American. So recently, the KIA has distanced itself. I mean, they are stay kind of aligned to the other KNU, KNPP, and CNA, but they have distanced themselves from this 3K2C. So and also National Unity Government Myanmar NUG. So KIA has is now not part of their collective activities now. So we can say it's not K3C anymore, it's K2C. So we will go to the KNU. KNU is in the south and is the, I think, longest ethnic and forces fighting against Myanmar military. And you can see this light, which color is it? Maybe green or gray. So this light gray area are controlled by the KNU. So KNU has been formed around 1949, I think. The problem is that even though they started out really strong over the years, KNU has become kind of they have scattered between among themselves because this region, you can see this is controlled by the BDF border guard forces originally around 1990s. Some Buddhist soldiers from the KNU, they say that they feel they oppressed or discriminated by the majority Christian leader. They separated themselves as the DKBA, which is the Democratic Buddhist Army. So KNU is the Korean National Union is their political organization name, and their army M1 is called KNLA. But the thing is that KNLA is Korean National Liberation Army, but the thing is that we just call KNU for everything. So anyway, so KNU. The DKBA has distanced themselves and become a separate group, and later they have joined forces with the Myanmar military, and then they fight against KNU, and so they have gained the control around this region and a few other regions. And then the thing is that in 2009, around 2009, majority of the DKBA has been officially formed as the border guard force as part of the Myanmar military. But the thing is that during the military coup, the border guard forces around here, led by Ganesh Chitu, he how to say this? He has more of a self-interest than they getting involved in the Myanmar military's fight. So so this is officially is the president of military government is there, but the thing is that this area is actually now almost completely controlled by such a BGF, and at the moment they can be considered neutral because they don't get involved they don't want to get involved in the civil war. So surrounding region, these region, these are the KNU. But KNU is not single entity. It's more like they have their different divisions or brigades. So they act on their own independently. So central control cannot really control them. So sometimes they collaborate, but then again, they have their own leaders. So you can even see the maps, they are all scattered, non-continuous. So KNU is kind of, like their strength is around, is estimated around 20,000, but because of the threshold and the interest of the KNU is a little different. They don't fight as fierce as the Northern Alliances. So some of the Korean people and Burmese people are not happy with how KNU hasn't gained the very how can I say obvious victory, but still they are fighting. They are giving some pressure. They are giving some pressure in the south. So anyway, so that's KNU. Oh, I forgot to tell. So KIA also they also have the around 20,000, estimated around 20,000 strong soldiers. But the thing is that the northern part, their strength is quite efficient, you have to say, even if it's not, because some of the ethnic forces, their number are huge, but inflated numbers and efficient numbers, I have to say. So 20,000 from the KIA is an efficient number. So 20,000 from KNU is, I have to say, is scattered. It can be efficient, but it's at the moment it's scattered. So BGF, this BGF, they have around 7,000-8,000. So they are also quite strong, and because they are rich, because this BGF Sochi has profited greatly from the a lot of the natural resources, as also the cyber fraud compounds, because a lot of the cyber frauds they have moved from the north, from the China border to the here around here, and now they are he has profited a lot, and so it goes to arming his forces. And also because now the cyber fraud forces around this region, around the border, so they got pressure from time governments, also international governments. So there are news that they have moved to the south through the Three Pagoda Pass, around Three Pagoda Pass. So yeah, so KIA, KNU, and so we'll go to here, this green area. Originally, officially, it is the Gaya state, but now by the resistant forces, they rename. They want their original traditional name to be called Karenni state. So this is the Karenni region. So KNDF, the area is mostly occupied by non-KNDF, Karenni Nationalities Defense Force. So, but the KNDF is different from KIA or KNU because they are more like a coalition of the different groups within the Karenni region. And so the main groups that has existed for many years and that have provided with the training to other groups is called the KNPP. KNPP is the Karenni National Progressive Party, and their group is called Karenni Army, KA. So anyway, so KNPP is also one of the K2C groups, so they're Christian mostly. So you can say that they are also kind of close to America because we have seen the activities of Free Burma Rangers around the KNU region and also recently more in Karenni region. So they have gained quite a lot of victory earlier this year in 2024 or after their operation, the follow-up operation of Operation 1027 and announced that in last year November, and then currently follow up with the Operation 1111, and they have got quite the success, and they almost capture like got the capital city of Karenni. But the thing is that there are a lot of complication, and PNA appear become stronger, and also their ammunition route has been disrupted, or I don't know, or their financial got cut off, or some way or another, their offensive become weakened, and so majority of the Loin Corps has been recaptured by the military counter-offensive, Myanmar military counter-offensives, also with the help of PNA. PNA's their region, they move around here, so they don't have a color because they stay in the region of military control. Actually, they should have the map. They should have a map, actually, in my opinion. But anyway, still, KNDF, they stay control the majority of the several cities in the current state, and they stay fighting not as fierce as the earlier this year, but they are stay how can I say it? They still have a lot of potential to be able to put pressure on the Myanmar military. Their strength is around 7,000, but I think it's including some auxiliary members because currently state it has low population. So I was talking about PNA earlier. So PNA is a Pao National Army. So Pao National Army is the alternate armed forces of they base around this region, Pao alternates. But they may ceasefire with the Myanmar military around early 1990s, and after the military coup in 2021, they have been firefighting together with the Myanmar military. Actually, only after 2023 they become quite stronger. They have drafted a lot of young Pao people around this region within earlier this year, and their strength become 10 times stronger. I think it's inflated. So originally they were estimated around 4,000 strong, and this year it became like over 40,000 according to the news. But I think it's inflated. They have counted a lot of the auxiliary forces in the state. State is very strong because 40,000 is a big number, and also they have the backing of the Myanmar military, so they don't have a problem of acquiring weapons and ammunitions, even drones, because the reason they have become stronger is there are several reasons. The immediate threat is the appearance of PNLA. Okay, PNLA already exists. So this region, this small region, is actually not actually small. It's only small compared to other regions. So this region around seaside is controlled by PNLA. So PNLA is also another Pao another PAO group is the longer term is PAO National Liberation Army. But the thing is that they are on the side of the resistance forces, and PNA is on the side of the Myanmar military. So they the PNLA, their strength is not that big. Their strength is according to the news between around 500 or maybe around 1,000. I'm not sure, but the thing is that they are fighting against the military around here, and it prompted the PNA to make themselves stronger to counter their movement, because PNLA is working together with the KNDF. And so PNA is working with the military. So around here, so two PAO groups fighting each other. So PNA also helped the Myanmar military to recapture Loico. So we're gonna move to this region. So we can see here the green region, that scatter green region. This. Okay, I will map this. So this, and this. So these regions are RCSS. RCSS is the Restoration Council of Shan State, and they are called Shan State Army. They are sometimes called Shan State Army, Southern Shan State Army. But the thing is that they don't want to get involved in the civil war. So NCA is a nationwide ceasefire agreement. RCSS or WSA state is a signatory of NCA. So NCA agreement. So they don't want to fight. And the things that they are not close to anybody, they are not aligned with anybody. I mean, they are aligned with the ALP from Hurricane, and they are aligned with CNA from Chin State. But the thing is that they are both weak organizations. So basically, they don't have any help, and surroundings. Everybody don't like RCSS. I mean, so they have kind of understanding with the military, but they don't fight that much with the military. So I mean, there were a few clashes recent year or also this year. But the thing is that it's not. They are not big clashes. So you can say that RCSS is the leader of RCSS is USA, and his organization has been infamous for getting involved in the drug trades and a lot of things. They are pretty famous, actually pretty famous in Thailand. But the thing is that now they are neutral. They can be said that they are neutral in this one. I mean, they are not getting along with the SSPP, which is another Shan State Army on the north. And also, but the thing is that they are neutral. And they are actually strong, but they are strong around over 10,000 strong. So they are quite strong because they have money, so they are well armed. Recently, there are news that they have trained more people, like 6,000 people they have recruited from around their region, and they have trained it. So it is suspected that they can be bigger, they can be stronger than that. But anyway, officially, they are estimated to be around 12,000. So from in the north, there are SSPP, the Shan State Army. Shan State Army is they are actually a line of the Northern Alliances. So Northern Alliances is a loosely called term. It's not an official term. We have the official alliance, three brotherhoods, which are MNDAA, this, and TNLA, this, and RKME, this. So three of them are official alliance, and there are another alliance. It's not actually alliance. It's more like committee called FPNCC. So FPNCC is a committee that is I would just say it's kind of alliance of the North. So FPNCC are the United War State, MNDAA, TNLA, and KIA, and also here this region, this small region is NDAA and SSPP. So they are kind of alliance. But the thing is that SSPP can be also considered neutral because, and then now they don't get involved in the civil. I mean, they in the civil war. I mean, they get involved in a way that, they allow the traveling of their alliances through their region, but they also allow the Myanmar military troops to travel across their region as well. So, and they have clashes with TNLA, they have clashes with MNDAA, of course, they have clashes with RCSS. But the thing is that officially they do not get involved in the civil war. So they can be considered neutral. Their strength is also around 10,000. So we go to the north, and this region is actually very famous recently because of the Operation 1027. The MNDAA used to be, they have become quite weakened around 2009, 2010, after many of their sub-leader have rebelled against their original leader. But then again in 2023 November, during the Operation 1027, they quickly regained control of almost all the region they have lost. I mean, not almost all the region they have lost, and more, they have conquered more. And in the second wave of the Operation 1027 during this year, after like June, July, they have conquered more, especially Lashu, which can be called the most important capital city of the northern Shan state. So, which make the Myanmar military not very happy. So, their strengths are around, I think, less than 10,000. But the thing is that they cannot be underestimated. Their fighting forces are very efficient. You can see how quickly they conquer their region, and like with the small forces, you can say that they are the one of the most efficient fighter of the Myanmar resistance forces. But the thing is that after conquering Lashu, China is not happy. China is not happy that there is a war around its region, around its border. So China has been putting enormous pressure to the MNDAA to stop the war. So now MNDAA has stopped the war, and now they are talking for the ceasefire and negotiation. But I heard that recent few days it hasn't gone well. But anyway, they are going to talk it out in some way or another. So MNDAA they have stopped for giving pressure to the Myanmar military with their offensive. But again, consider this, being existing just here, occupying this region, they are still giving pressure to the Myanmar military. Okay, so MNDAA close ally is TNLA, because they are part of the Three Brotherhood Alliance. So TNLA is a Ta'an National Liberation Army. So they are also as strong as the MNDAA, maybe a little bit much more. So they are also around 10,000 strong. But and also both the TNLA, this light yellow green region is TNLA region. Both the TNLA and the MNDAA, they have trained the PDF Burmese PDF groups, and they have helped with the weapon distribution and ammunition. So especially the TNLA, they have closely worked together with a lot of PDF forces when in their second wave of Operation 1027. And they have both the MNDAA and TNLA, they are combined strength together. They have conquered the very important trading route in the northern Shan state. This route, this route. So the major win of the TNLA is that they have Kongwa Mogo. This Mogo region is an important region because it produced the ruby, which can be a very good income sources for the TNLA. But TNLA also got pressure by the Chinese government, so they also stopped their offensive, and they are now just defending the regions they have conquered. And there is a small enclave which is now stay the controlled by the Myanmar military, because this border city is a very important trade city. So Chinese government doesn't like this border. I mean, around here is the only border gate the Myanmar military state control has, and Chinese government doesn't like uh, to be controlled by the ethnic army. So because of that, it is stay kind of spared at the moment. So and also here you can see here KIA has a little bit of elongated area to this, because before the MNDAA and TNLA became their area before becoming bigger. KIA has the presence in this region already. So when they conquer those regions, especially the TNLA, they have some kind of dispute with the in their troops within for the control of this area, but because they are the part of the FPNCC, somehow now they stop arguing that. But again, they are just minor dispute, not the major disputes. So the thing is that every time those small dispute happen, uh, one organization or one ethnic emphasis, they become the negotiator. Okay, it is the UWSA, this light green area. Okay, actually UWSA also has the another area in the south. UWSA is the, and they recently, I mean even now, it is the, we can say that it can be considered the strongest ethnic and force in Myanmar, apart from Myanmar military, because they were actually this MNDAA, UWSA, and the NDAA. These three regions together used to be the region of the Communist Party of Burma, like 30 over 30 years ago. But then again, they were ousted in 1988, 1989. They were fought by they were rebelled by their own people, their own soldiers, their own troops, and the ethnic people around this region. They have taken control. So they were originally a Communist Party of Burma soldiers, but then they divided the region to be three parts. So MNDAA controlled this part, and UWSA controlled this part, and NDAA controlled this part. They are close to each other, and they speak Chinese. They are Chinese ethnic mostly, and UWSA became the most developed region around those three because they are the biggest and closest to the China. Their strength is around 30,000 estimated, and they also have a helicopter and tanks and the anti-aircraft weapons. And so, but the thing is that they stopped fighting against the Myanmar military around early 1990s. So they have ceasefire and they have maintained peace for more than 30 years, and it's something to reckon with. So they don't want to fight, it's clear. But the thing is that it is speculated that UWSA, the war region, is the major provider of weapons and ammunition to the Myanmar resistance forces, especially three brotherhoods. And also another thing we have to say is that UWSA actually and officially also gained more region within the during the Operation 1037. So in the first way, they have gained this around this region for free from MNDAA, and in the second wave, because the Myanmar military cannot fully defend or occupy this region, so as a peacekeeper, UWSA entered those region and occupy, and now they are unofficially considered to be the UWSA areas. So UWSA is like a big brother, so they can be considered neutral. So SSPP is neutral, UWSA is neutral, and NDAA is neutral. NDAA is a kind of like UWSA but smaller. Okay, so their strength is around 3,000 or 4,000. It's a small force compared to the neighbor forces. But then again, we don't know because they never fight. We don't know they can be as efficient as the MNDAA, but they are neutral forces. They don't want to fight close to China. So that's all we can see that now UWSA is neutral. NDAA is neutral, SSPP is neutral, and RCSS is neutral, and here BGF is neutral. Okay, we go back to a little bit south, and we can see these green areas, scatter green areas. So they are the control area by the NMSP, new Mon State body. So, but new Mon State body is more of the relying more on the collaboration with the KNU, and their strength is around 1,500. So they are not a big force. At the same time, they are not a small force. So we go to the West Mountain areas. So this region is Chin State. This region is Chin State. But this area is already controlled by the Arakan army quite earlier, even before the Myanmar military coup. And this puppet area is Chinlen Council area. So there is a complication within the terms of Chinlen Council, Chinlen government, CNA and CNF, and so I will explain a bit. So Chin Mountains they are very tribal, and they are based on their townships, and based on each tribes are based on their townships, and each tribe are based on their villages. So there are several dozens of tribes, and so the CDF, Shin Defense Forces, they are based around their region. So there are several dozens of CDF forces around this region, these regions. But the thing is that CNF was a NCA agreement signatory, so they don't want to fight originally against the Myanmar military. So earlier in 2021, at the time, Chin State was actually a lot of forces in Chin CDF forces. They were one of the earliest resistant forces appear after the 2021 military coup. So those young people, they want to get training. So they ask for the training from CNF, CNA. Okay, CNA is the Chin National Army. Okay, but CNA don't want to give them training because they are still considered themselves to be within the NCA. So the CDF forces, they trying to ask for the help from the NUG, National Unity Government, and also from the KIA. But the thing is that they also have CNA, also have the agreement with the NUG and also KIA that they represent the whole Chin state. So without the CNA agreements, they cannot give training to KIA, cannot give training to or weapons to the CDF forces. So a lot of CDF forces, they they finally got their help from the Oregon Army, which is pretty strong and can provide both the training and the weapon. And CNA was not happy with it. So finally, but at the time, there are several Chin groups. They were trying to work together under different organizations and different negotiation, especially under the ICNCC. So ICNCC is the interim consultative Chin National Council, but the thing is that nearly at the end of 2023, CNA broke away from the ICNCC, and they have formed the Chinland Council by themselves, and then they found the Chinland government by early 2024, and they have at that time they have already given training to several CDF groups, so they have gathered all the CDF groups working together with them, and so these barbarian regions are becoming part of Chinland Council troops, but they are not anyway like they are not a very united group. It can be said that it's the loosely formed coalition. Okay, so to counter that, the rest of the CDF forces in their own region, they form the alliance called Chin Brotherhood. So Chin Brotherhood are those regions. Actually, they are different groups. Also, this region as well, the Green region. So this green region are the Chin Brotherhood region, and the purple region is the Chinland Council region. So this small area is the ZIA region. ZIA is the Zombie Revolutionary Army. So the day is that CNA or CC troops are not happy with ZIA occupying around here. So they have been fighting and occupying several of ZIA territory. ZIA is that they can be considered neutral as well. They don't want to get involved in the civil war. But at the same time, because they coexist with the Myanmar military forces, they are accused of collaborating with the Myanmar military. But in my point of view, they just want to be left alone. So this is the ZI region. Another interesting thing is that there is a human rights organization in Chin State, which is called CHRO, Chin Human Rights Organization, and it has a such powerful presence. But the thing is that CHRO is they got most funding and they got most funding and they talk about the human rights situation within the Chin State. But the thing is that the leader of CHRO are also the leader of CNA, and so therefore there is a question of how much freedom or independence CHRO can be, because CHRO almost never did criticize or talk about the human rights situation or question to the CNA. So, but there's another point to talk about. So, but the thing is that now all the Chin groups and other civilian Chin civilian groups, they want the both Chin groups, Chin Brotherhood CB and Chinland Council CC to work together. But the thing is that there are things that cannot be forgiven within the tribes. So I'm not sure they are going to be working together in the future. So we go to the south. So Arakan Army has become the one of the most strong and efficient ethnic army in the West. Originally, they got the training from KIA, and it is speculated that they got their weapon supply from their brotherhoods and also from both KIA and UWSA. But they have conquered quickly or most of the north region, and also they have conquered now. Recently, actually, they already conquered Tango, and they are almost conquering An, and they are almost conquering Gua. They have already conquered the border with Bangladesh. So there's only two places left, actually three places in the Rakhine State to be conquered. Sittwe, which is the capital of Rakhine State, Jiaohu, which has the gas project by the China, and Mount is a individual island that is not connected. But then again, if the Jiaohu is conquered, I think Mount is automatically conquered because it is bare, it is naked, it doesn't have any defense anymore. So, but Sittwe is also Sittwe and Jiaohu will be, pardon me, it's a quite difficult place because these are not only the economic interests of the Myanmar military, but also they have the symbolic importance to the Myanmar military because Sittwe and Jiaohu were conquered by the Arakan army. The Myanmar military will lose a lot of phases, and also Jiaohu, the Shui gas project, they generate around $2 billion every year. So it's a lot of money for the Myanmar military to lose. So yeah, but in my point of view, this Arakan army is going to conquer the whole region, if not within months, within 1 year. So Oregon Army is considered to be at least 40,000 strong, but I doubt it because it has become quickly growing, so it can be more, and their fighting offense is pretty fierce. They usually do not we usually do not learn a lot about what they are doing because they are quite discreet with what they are doing, but we can say that they are quite efficient. I forgot to talk about the strength of the Shin fighting groups. We can in the news and websites, it is say that CNA or CC fighting forces are like 15,000 strong. But in my point of view, the number is largely inflated because I think they are counting the auxiliary numbers, which are not really fighting forces. And I think their fighting forces are only all around maybe 1,000 or 1,500. And Chin brother who fighting forces are maybe around 2,000-3,000. But the thing is that Chin brother who got a lot of help from Arakan Army, not only the weapon and ammunition, Arakan Army physically have some presence in when they were fighting and conquering the cities. So they are really good neighbors and they have good potentials. We have to see how, and also one of the things to be noted is that CC Xinlan Council is not happy with the Arakan Army like occupying Chin State region and also helping the CB. So CC is trying to uh, make an anti-Arakan Army campaign, but I think it is not really successful. I mean, it's kind of partially successful within Chin people, but in the broader view, they are not very successful. And also, their notability is that some of the Rohingya armed forces around the Bangladesh border, they were actually fighting together with the Myanmar military. So their strength can be around thousands. But with the loss of Mount Dor last few weeks, I think their numbers will be dwindled because there are only point or weapon supplies coming from the Myanmar military. And Myanmar military can only supply them with the ships now. But if like Sittwe is conquered, now the Myanmar military, it is questionable that with Myanmar military state come all the way to this place to provide weapons and ammunition to the Rohingya armed forces to fight against the Arakan army, because without the constant supply of weapon and ammunition, it is difficult to fight against the Arakan army. But we will see because if they fight like gorilla, they can stay disrupt the daily life and administration of this region. But I think, or for the Rohingya armies working together with the Myanmar military might be something hugely regrettable in the future. So we would talk about NUG. So NUG is the National Unity Government, originally some of the MP of the Minister of Parliament, they were able to get out of the country and they formed the CRPH, which is the Parliament, ASI Parliament. Then they formed the National Unity Government, and then a lot of PDF forces within Myanmar, they go under NUG commands. NUG was very efficient and getting the donations from all around the world from diaspora Myanmars. But the thing is that they are only efficient at the getting donations. They are not efficient at leading a revolution. Because you can see even, I will turn off the ethnic armed forces region. I will turn off the Myanmar military control region. So you can see the region PDF controls are not that much. And actually, PDF under the NUG is colored in dark blue, and local PDF that are not under the NUG is light blue, and you can see that it's not that much. It's not that much. And also they are infighting between local PDF and NUG PDFs, because NUG PDFs have a lot of complication. They not only have the PDF, they also have the administration PDF and police PDF, which are interfering with each other. The most of their leaders were former NLD members, which is not really good situation, because infighting between Midland Myanmar can cause to the non-unity, and non-unity is what Myanmar military wants. So if they really want to get success in the revolution, they should have they should negotiate. They should negotiate, because NUG, considering themselves as the like legitimate government of Myanmar, is not actually working. They have to start considering themselves as part of revolution, because they don't know much about fighting leadership. They have a lot of, a lot of things to learn from the ethnic armed forces. But the thing is that somehow, NUG claim that they have hundreds of brigades, PDF brigades under them, and each of the brigades have like 215 soldiers. So overall, their strength is claimed to be around 100,000, which is a lot, but I think the number is hugely inflated. There is a problem of the distribution of the donation, and there are questions of the where are the donation going to, the transparency of like the accounts, and these are a lot of questions appearing within this year, and NUG has to answer, because a lot of PDF forces and NUG are not with M. They are not ready to fight for the to capture the cities. So you can see their strength is gathered around Sagai region, which is close to KIA, which is you can see that they got a lot of help from KIA to conquer those regions. If they are far from KIA, and then they cannot conquer. But then again, if Arakan Army is able to control all the Rakhine state, then they might be able to help the local PDF to conquer more around the Irrawaddy River. So we will see in the near future there's something going to be changed, but with the interference of China, because China, TNLA and MNDAA has stopped stop their offensive, and I think KIA is also going to stop, but they somehow stay fighting to conquer more region to finalize their conquering of some cities, I think, but somehow they are also slowing down on their offensives. Alcan Army is also fighting. We don't know what will happen in the future, but so there are a lot of uncertainties, but at the same time, the interference of China, because China is backing Myanmar military, because they have been sitting and waiting and watching for 3 years, and they are not patient anymore. So they finally sided with the Myanmar military. So they backed the Myanmar military for the 2025 election. So when China is influencing like that, the ASEAN is also supporting the 2025 election. It's going to change a lot, but there are a lot of things that can be unpredictable. So we will see what happens in the future. Thank you.